Hi, this is Mark Pritchard with the third part of my WebLogic Server on JRockit Virtual Edition demo. And what I'd like to do now is just to show you how we hook up the SSH file access that we enabled in the JRockit-VE configuration with the WebLogic security realm. Now, the way we do this is via a startup class in WebLogic Server. So you can see that I've loaded this startup class. That's what I've called it by convention, but that's the actual class. So it's WebLogic WLS-VE SSH Server SSH Startup. And what this does is this is loaded at WebLogic Startup, and it basically hooks the WebLogic security roles and policies from the WebLogic Server security realm, and it basically integrates that with the JRockit-VE SSH file access. And without this, if you don't have this startup class running and you don't configure this within WebLogic security, you won't be allowed to access it using that special file access service. So for example, let me just come in and, for example, I'm going to add a user here. So let me just add a new user, and let me call myself M. Pritchard. So there we go, I'll add me and give myself a password. This is just a simple example. You can use all the sort of WebLogic Server security roles and policies features, but there's my user there. So what I'm going to do is let me come down here, and I'll go to the realm policies, and if I come under domain, you'll see this new one which is enabled by the SSH startup class. Here we are, and you can see file access there. So I'm going to turn that on, and in fact I want to create a policy for that. And my default policy would just be to have the admin role, but what I'm going to do is I can actually create something more customized if I want. So let me just add in the admin role. I don't want to lose that. I want to be able to continue to do that if I'm coming on as WebLogic or an admin user, but I can add a new one here, and what I'll do is I'll choose a user predicate, and I'll say if user is M. Pritchard, was the user I just created, and I'll add me in there. So now I've said if the user is M. Pritchard or you're in an admin role, then you're allowed to use the service. So having done that, what I can now do is I can go down here, and for example I can use WinSCP. I'll launch this, and this is the virtual machine, M. Pritchard VM1, so this is my admin server, that's that virtual machine, and I'm going to use that user I just created, M. Pritchard, and I'll put in my password, and I can now log on as an authorized user, and you can see I can now see there's that virtual machine, there's that file system / application domains, WLS-VE domain, and of course then if I wanted to go in and see sort of log files and things, I can do that in the normal way. So that's how the integration between the JRockit-VE SSH file access and the WebLogic security realm works. Let's just briefly show you, for example, the VMM Node Manager integration. So what I've done is I've just again started up a DOS window over here, and I've just set my environment, and I'm running WebLogic WLST. And for example, here is the command. Again, it's all in the blog, but what I'm doing here is showing you how you can use the Node Manager offline. So here's my Node Manager connect string. Now this looks very similar, but it is obviously slightly different from connecting to a normal Node Manager, because you can see here that we're talking about connecting to the OVM Manager, as I explained in the last recording. That's the OVM Manager host and port. That's the WebLogic Server domain name. That's the domain home within the virtual machine image, And then this is a special string that identifies the version of the Oracle VM Manager that we're connecting to. So remember, the password, the username and password here is the Oracle VM username password rather than the traditional Node Manager one. So again, if I want to start up commands, I'll just pick these from here to avoid mistyping. I can now start and stop servers in the normal way, just as if I were connected to a normal Node Manager. This is where the importance of the naming convention comes in. The domain name, server name is important because that's how the Oracle VM Manager is going to find the managed servers for the domain to start. So I can run up the Node Manager start command here. If you want to sort of actually see what's happening, if we go back over onto the Oracle VM side, here we are in the varlog OVS agent, and this is where you have all the various OVM agent operations. The OVM agent is what's running on the OVM servers that the OVM Manager uses to start and stop servers. And for example, I could do a tail -f on OVS operation.log, and this is where I'm going to see the virtual machine being started and stopped and so on. Once again, I can do this. I could run sort of nm start if I want to. Sorry, that's my typo. If I just do nm start and I do WLS-VE domain _ managed server 2, like that. That looks right. And then you'll see me starting up the second managed server here, and you'd see the output coming through here in the OVS agent log file here. And then I could go to one of these windows and I could do an XM list, for example. And then if you remember, I can go to XM console and I can give the ID of the managed server 2, and I'm going to see the output, and you can see there the startup messages from JRockit Virtual Edition, and we'll see the WebLogic Server messages as that starts up, and it'll connect to the admin server in the normal way. So that concludes our sort of brief run through. As I said, there's a blog on the WebLogic Server blogs that describes this and gives you all the detail of the commands I used and the configuration files and so on, and hopefully you'll be able to use that to get your own WebLogic Server domains up and running with JRockit Virtual Edition. Thanks very much.